Namaste friends, today I am getting to you another farmer's pick recipe which is called Ulavacharu veg biryani. So this recipe is legendary, it's soulful, it's down to earth, and also it contains a yogic superfood which is horse gram. I have taken half cup of horse gram which I have soaked for around 6 hours, and I have taken 1.5 cups of rice. So this is jeera rice which I have taken, and you can make this recipe with any rice of your choice. So first let's wash up the rice for around 3 times so that the water is clear, and I have added 3 cups of water to this. So for this we are also adding whole spices which are cinnamon, star anise, cardamom, a little bit of jaifal and also cloves. For this we are also adding chopped up vegetables of your choice. So I have taken beans and carrots here. If you want, you can also add peas, you can add cauliflower if you want. And for this also I am adding a little bit of ghee or clarified butter so that the masala and everything cooks really well. So this is very crucial, so don't miss this step. Add a little bit of ghee, and also I am adding a little bit of salt. So this is really like a half teaspoon of salt, just so that the rice will not be bland. I want the rice to be flavorful. Also I am adding a handful of mint leaves. So these are fresh mint leaves. So mint leaves is what gives a really nice aroma for this recipe. I have taken a ball of tamarind and I have soaked. If you want, you can also use tamarind paste for this recipe. So I have boiled the horse gram, and I have just taken out the horse gram. I am taking in a blender. So I really want a coarse paste of this horse gram. And as I say you, this is a yogic superfood, so it is very good for your body. It is a little bit hot, but that's okay. So be really careful when you're doing this. And I'm saving the stock of the horse gram because we'll be using that as well. So as you can see, I've really coarsely blended this. I really don't want a fine paste because I really want those chunks of horse gram in my biryani. And now I have taken the big pot and I've added around 2 tablespoons of ghee to this. You can also use butter, and for this I'm also adding 2 tablespoons of oil. There you go. So this method of adding oil to the ghee will make sure that the ghee will not be burnt. And for this I'm adding cumin or jeera, around half teaspoon of it, and mustard again half teaspoon. So the spoon which I'm using is very tiny, so I hope you don't get confused with that. So it's really half teaspoon of jeera and half teaspoon of mustard seeds. So let's saute it. This is the basic tempering what we are giving for this recipe, and unlike other biryani recipes, this recipe has a little bit like a rasam or sambar taste, I must say, because it's Ulavacharu means actually Ulava means horse gram and charu means like rasam, right? So it's little bit, it has the taste of it. And I'm adding 2 to 3 garlics which I have chopped really well. And as I said you, this is a farmer's recipe, that's why we are using garlic and onions again. And I'm adding 1 medium onion, 2 green chilies which I have just slit in between, and let's saute it really well. So most of the farmer's recipe have garlics and onions. So to preserve the authenticity of this recipe, I'm still using this, and I'm adding 1 teaspoon of red chili powder. So this gives a really brilliant taste and brilliant color for this recipe. And I'm adding 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. So and I'm going to saute it really well. So we are cooking in medium flame, so make sure that you don't cook in high flame because these masalas are very delicate and it will be burnt very easily. So make sure that you're cooking in medium flame. And I'm adding the stock which I had preserved earlier from the horse gram. So as I said to you, I'm not going to waste that, so I'm adding all the stock here. And let it come to simmer. And now I'm adding the extracted tamarind juice which I'm straining it. So remember we had soaked the tamarind in the water for some time, so I've just squished it with the hands and I'm extracting the juice. You can also use tamarind paste, but I hope you remember that the tamarind paste is very potent, and second thing is it has additional added salt in it. So make sure that you don't add too much salt if you're using the tamarind paste. Now I'm adding the coarsely ground or horse gram, the star of the recipe. So some people don't like to grind it. Some people would add it as it is, like a whole horse gram. That is really up to you. And some people may like it fine paste. I really like this chunky paste, so that I can get those, I can feel the smoothness of the biryani, and also I can taste the horse gram. So that's the reason why this is my method. So I'm going to mix it really well. Now it's all well combined. So now I'm adding crystal salt. So we have to remember that we have added salt in a couple of other places too before. So make sure that you're not adding too much salt. So, and last ingredient would be jaggery or brown sugar, just a half teaspoon, just to make sure that the flavors are blended really well. So this doesn't add any sweetness to this recipe. And again, optional ingredient, grated coconut. So this is grated fresh coconut which I'm adding. So usually authentic recipe calls for this, that's why I'm adding it. But you can also make without it. I have made many times without adding coconut, and it has turned out perfectly well. And now our masala is ready, and now I'm adding the cooked rice. So remember, we cooked the rice with vegetables and mint leaves and whole spices. I'm adding that. I can really smell the mint leaves and whole spices. It's amazing. The aroma of it is breathtaking. It's really amazing. And especially this is like a soul food. Especially the farmers used to make this recipe when they had a harvest season, or when they had something where they were spending too much of physical labor, because this has amazing amount of protein and essential amino acids which are very good for your muscles. So I really hope you try this recipe once in a while, because it not only lifts up your mood, but also it nourishes each and every cell in the body. And as you can see, the rice is soaking up really well. I have tried making this recipe with basmati rice, jeera rice and sona masuri. I personally feel that jeera rice stands out the best, and the second best would be sona masuri rice. But basmati rice has its own flavor and its own texture. This is a more of a humble recipe, earthy recipe. And see, do you see the color and taste? I mean, obviously you cannot know the taste. I hope you make this and have a taste. And this is my absolute favorite recipe, I must say, and very authentic, different, and especially stand out in the crowd. I hope you like this recipe, and I'll get back to you again next week. See you until then.